So we've got a situation going on here, and we're looking at, okay, so the bottom line is we don't want to lose our focus. You, us, you, everybody, we know what's going on, the agenda, global reset, okay, and what are we going to do about it? Welcome to Frank and Angie's channel, talking about life, how to have it better at home or abroad. So we've changed the name of this channel to Retire Earlier and Better, but we're considering changing it once again in light of the facts of what has transpired and what has become known. Let's talk about that in this video, and let's also talk about solutions. Though we will reference what's happening, we will focus on some positive solutions in this video. We have had so much happen in the last just 4 or 5 months, and so we're talking about how to overcome what's coming. The thing is that we're still seeing a lot of people just focused on the superficial narrative, just what's in the headlines, what's in the headline news, the figures, the this, the that. There's still a lot of focus on the very top crust of the cake, and there's a little bit that goes deeper. So, thank you and congratulations for being on our channel, because we do go a little bit deeper, and that way we are talking to you as someone that goes a little bit deeper, and therefore we can address our content that way. Just deeper layer, whatever. But if you just got to the channel and you're still at that superficial level, don't worry about it. We're going to put links below. But please, if you're at that level, don't spend a lot of time trying to reinforce your knowledge base of that superficial level, because we're past that level, meaning that there's a lot more to it and there's a lot more to know.
I think most of our viewers are past it too.
Most of them, yeah. So once in a while, though, somebody comes on and they're still in the superficial headline news kind of level. Let me give you an example, okay? So we've got a situation going on here, and we're looking at, okay, so the bottom line is we don't want to lose our focus. You, us, you, everybody, we know what's going on, the agenda, global reset, okay? And what are we going to do about it? So that's what we're talking about. How are we going to respond? And I think that how people respond is based on the level of knowledge and urgency that they see in the matter. I'm seeing a time urgency because of the way that things are happening. And remember that in chess or checkers, you're always 2 or 3 moves ahead, and the real good ones, the professionals, are way more moves ahead, okay? So when you consider that as the opponent, they're just making these moves for you to lose your focus and stay focused on these front pawn moves that they're making, while really their real agenda here in the background is to roll that out. So keeping everybody distracted is the name of the game, and that way the whole agenda gets rolled out. So global reset, I used to hear, some of my friends used to use this terminology, global reset, and while I understood that throughout history there's been crashes and different things happen with wars and things, I didn't really give a whole lot of weight and credence to this global reset idea until recently. Not that I didn't believe it, it seemed like something that was far away, or something I didn't know about, or something I thought I already knew about. But based on what we're seeing now, we're seeing what this global reset, what the real goal is, and we are seeing, more importantly and more pertinent and relevant to today, is that the timeline is being stepped up. So this isn't something that is, oh, this is the ideal scenario that we want, and if it happens in 100 years, great. This is like they want it to happen now. I mean, within the next few years. And so this is why you keep seeing these.
Maybe even sooner.
You keep seeing this. Let me give you an example before I start talking about all that. Not to pick on Panama, because both Panama and Ecuador in a lot of places are doing this. But just because these are our stomping grounds and we are super familiar with them and we're in touch with it on a regular basis. I'm on this Pana Times, which is just a Panama news portal in English, okay? And this is just the front page of Panama Times in English. And there are no less than 16 different headline articles, different little articles that you can click on and read further, that are pro-COVID fear-mongering. 16, just on the front page, okay? And this isn't just today. I mean, I've been looking at this for several days, and it's just a constant.
It's all over the internet.
It's a constant bombardment.
Yes.
And let me read you, just so you know, well, what do you mean, bombardment? Figures, numbers, okay? Numbers that on their own convey fear. Now, 22 deaths in 24 hours reported in Panama due to COVID-19. Well, how do you know that's not manipulated? I mean, everything else is manipulated.
Right.
There's just 16 of them. They're all like that. I'm not going to read through 16 different headlines. I'll tell you one more headline that says, worldwide deaths, 500,000 due to COVID, Now, superficially, that would get people really worked up, And I see people copying and pasting and reposting on Facebook groups and stuff. But do any of these people go deeper and realize that 500,000 deaths globally is a regular historical global figure for influenza deaths worldwide? Has not changed.
Well, also, a lot of those deaths weren't even COVID.
If you believe.
Okay.
Well,
even if you were to believe.
I'm just saying
right.
They are calling them COVID, but
okay,
the number for influenza deaths, right, is the same. So whether you want to call it COVID or influenza, it's the same number.
I'm getting so tired of it.
I'm just saying, though, that this is what we're facing, and this is what we're in. This is the world we're in. And I don't see any headlines whatsoever on this paper that are not, excuse me, let me correct myself. There is one headline, one article about a 102-year-old lady that survived, that got COVID and survived. Here it is, 102-year-old woman looking better than ever after beating coronavirus. And I don't know if she's in Panama or not, but it's on the Panama paper, okay? So there is only one positive article on this theme. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? Okay, because Ecuador, Panama, there's all these places, and people copy and paste, and they're just really happy to just repeat this superficial information. And this is exactly the strategy by these globalists players that have more moves, there's several moves ahead of the majority of these people that are just parroting these headlines. So we urge you to go deeper. For example, there's some information out there that goes a little bit deeper than that, and they talk about possible solutions. There's going to be a link. There's a link to that video, underneath the video. Do watch that video. So what can we do? We can let's talk about tiny houses. Maybe tiny houses is a solution. Why tiny houses? Because a lot of people in the tiny house movement, though, in the U.S., as it's understood there, it's been really commercialized. Now, we had a homestead on 3.5 acres in the U.S., and we grew 80% of our own food 6 months out of the year, maybe even 7 or 8 months. We did little symbiotic things like that worked together, on a homestead. But then once we left and went abroad, we kind of abandoned all that, and now we're saying that it's time to get back to similar self-sufficient thinking in order to withstand the onslaught of this just global assault on personal liberty, and freedom. So a lot of people are in America, just having lived there all of my life. I know the majority of Americans, and I was one of them, was very individualistic thinking. And there isn't really a thinking about working together to achieve a common goal. But I'm saying, and we're saying, that times have changed, and I am seeing some Americans, a small seed, changing that outlook. And so we want to encourage you to understand what truly is the need for people to work together, just because the global players, your opposition here is what we're calling it, is very formidable, and they're way ahead of everybody. And so
if this world is really changing, if the old system really goes down, if they will achieve that great reset, then people are going to lose heavily. And what comes out of that, if they will be easily transformed into this modern monetary theory and universal basic income, accepting, if you want to have the money, you have to accept the tracing app, or you have to accept, that wallet with that digital money, because we can do it. It's the easiest way how we can send you government income or basic salaries. That's when people have no food on the table. I think then maybe some of them will be willing to accept it, and so that's why I think it's important that people start today. Just open up a discussion within the family, among friends, talking about, okay, how can we opt out? Does it make sense that we relocate, that we leave the big cities, go into an area, or, trying to find communities, like-minded people? And so what we are talking about is Corona excess, and, the government power and the authority they took, and the civil liberties they destroyed, and how far they went. This is full-scale political control at the end of the day, and it will be a full-scale nationalization of the economy.
Well, that's what they want, and it's going to be up to us, we the people, at least in this country, to stand up against it and not comply. Once we give up our God-given rights, well then, we are to be ruled by men in the will and the whims of men, which is obviously everything the founders stood against.
We need to be thinking forward here, not superficially. So I've said enough on that. We have discussed in the past doing alternative styles of construction. They now have in the States builders that are actually using these alternative styles of construction, and they're not far-flung alternative styles. Things like that we did, for example, was to minimize the cost. In the U.S., one of the higher costs of construction is the finish work. And so there are different strategies you can use to minimize that cost and still have acceptable high standard housing. And one of them is, if you have, for example, a slab foundation, to, instead of cementing it and tiling it, which we did, we did the work ourselves, so the cost was very low, just the cost of material. We had porcelain in the living room. We could do those things because we did all the work ourselves. But we also experimented in some of the rooms with just using the slab.
Oh yeah.
And we we used stain. It's not paint, it's special cement paint that's called stain, which is much more durable. It's not paint, it's much more durable. It's designed for heavy use. And you can use it outdoors and this kind of thing. And what you do is you design tiles on the floor, and then you seal it with a sealer that makes it look. Now her mother came over to our house and looked at the floor and said how beautiful it was. We had a beautiful big tile design. She never knew that they weren't actual tiles. She never knew that. So I'm just saying, that's only one solution. Other solutions are like acid staining, which is kind of a strange sounding word, but it's just using certain staining chemicals instead of stained paint to color or discolor. Other methods are taking a cement saw and actually cutting grout lines in cement to make it look like tile. So there's different techniques to utilize, methods to diminish the amount of finish material and work that you put in a house, and yet still come out with a really nice looking home. And overall, what it comes down to is a much lower cost for construction. You know, there are builders in the States that are now incorporating several of these techniques in order to provide reasonable cost housing. Now, there are expats abroad that are spending tons and tons of money on housing. So what we're saying is, I think that it's time to be prudent and careful, even if you have the money, sinking a lot of money into something, you know, looking at alternatives as to how to end up with the same or similar product for less is clearly a smart thing to do. And clearly, even if it's only you and your family that want to collaborate with maybe another family or two, you know, anything so that, you know, you're not sitting there as an island. I know that sometimes people have been doing things in this frame of mind where you think you're an island, but you know, I'm just telling you, the opposition here is so formidable that going forward, it is, we believe, going to take the collaboration of good people to, you know, to work things out. All right, so we've got a little bit of construction going on here, so we're going to wrap it up, but I just noticed out of those 16 headlines on the Panamanian paper, there's 2 of them, listen to this, that are exactly the same headline, but just slightly tweaked. But the part I want you to focus on is how they focus on the largest number that they can. Listen to this one. The first one is, COVID-19 death toll passes 500,000 worldwide. Okay, the second one right next to it, the coronavirus has left over 500,000 dead in the world. This is the same headline, but they're taking up 2 spots.
Right next door to each other.
Yeah, they're taking up 2 spots on the front page to say the same thing. As long as they throw out that 500,000 or 500,000 number, why, that makes them happy. All right, so let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this, and let's come up with positive solutions. I know that there's people doing all kinds of things here and there. Let us know what you want to do. What are you interested in doing? And you know, whether it's at home or abroad, what your thoughts are on it. Thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, notification bell. Pass it around. A lot of our videos are getting shadowed. Okay, all right. So as usual, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. And don't forget to check the link below on that video we're posting for you.
Angelo just made us sandwiches today. That's all we get. Some little sandwiches. Why is that all you made for Sunday dinner, Angelo?
I'm so disappointed in you.